Welcome to the world's first straight talk Solarcast. This is your go-to podcast for answers about solar. Brought to you by Solar Harmonics in Northern California, who invite their customers to own their energy by purchasing a solar panel system for their home, business, or farm. Each episode, we discuss questions facing people making the decision to go solar. The solutions to your questions are given to you straight by one of the leading experts in the solar industry, Jamie Duran, president of Solar Harmonics. Feel free to search our library for answers to questions that you're facing when considering solar. And now, here's Adam Duran, our host with the questions, and Jamie Duran, our solar expert with Straight Talk Solarcast.
Hello, Jamie.
Hello, Adam.
How's everything in the land of solar this week?
Action-packed as usual. Lots and lots of things happening. But I wanted to talk about a real estate brokers tour meeting that I got invited to speak at this week. And it was probably 50, 75 real estate people in our local area here who are, guess what the topic they wanted me to talk about?
Solar, obviously.
Well,
solar leases.
Solar leases, yes.
Oh, I was right. Boom.
Well, and they had a lot of really good questions, a lot of specific questions. But the big one was, if somebody has a solar lease and they're trying to sell their house, what do they do? And it's pretty rough because for those people that don't know, a solar lease is an agreement that you've signed or the homeowner signed to have solar on their roof, generally 20 to 25 years with no money down. And the payment is a fixed amount, but it goes up 3% every year. So not sure how that's a fixed amount, but that's what? It's. Lots of things. Yeah, it's tons of free solar, or free installation. And then, but you're paying every month. So not sure how that works. Anyway. You forfeit the 30% tax credit,
yes.
And the odd thing, accounting wise, is that you have a liability as the homeowner, meaning that you have this lease that you've got to pay every month. You don't own the solar. So the solar company, they can pick whatever equipment they want. They can install it how they want. They can, they really are under no obligation to do anything that you want. And if that solar company, say it's a solar company and the leasing company are together, a lot of times now they are not. And the solar company, if they go out of business, the payment doesn't go away. You got to still pay for it, even if the system is not producing.
Wait, what? Wait, so the company who built the system out of business, but you're still paying the loan on the
not a loan, the lease.
The lease on the equipment.
Big difference. I know.
Yeah,
it's a
totally.
Big difference.
My bad. So you're still paying the lease, and if it breaks, you scream to the heavens.
You scream until somebody can come fix it. But yeah, it's a big mess and a big problem because it doesn't really matter what business, what industry. 25 years to be in business is a really, really long time. And humans really just don't live. There's not, from the time someone starts working until the time they retire, was about 40 years or so. And so to have a 25-year lease, and then the solar being 25 years and producing, it's kind of crazy that it's expected to do that. But anyway, so what happens, and halfway through, that homeowner with the solar lease says, I want to sell. And then they have two choices. They can buy out the lease from the solar leasing company, and it's not the fair market value of that solar lease, which would, probably after the first 3 or 4 years is probably close to zero, because the equipment's all outdated. It's very used. It's sitting outside, 3 or 4 years, but it'll still produce power. But as much as it costs to install it, that's how much it's going to cost to uninstall it. So that's why I say it's really not worth anything afterwards. And then if you just want to get rid of it and throw it in the landfill, you can't do that. They have to be recycled. And each panel, between $200 and $300 each to recycle that you have to pay, not that they pay you. And so it can get pretty expensive. And so a lot of people will want to sell the home and they say, we have solar on the house. And so prospective buyers fall in love with the house. And then they say, oh, that's great. It has solar too. So that means I'll never have an electricity bill. And a lot of times the real estate people assume that too. They just say, oh, it has solar. But lately, more and more real estate people are figuring out, educating themselves that if the solar lease is not transferred to the new buyer, it can tank their entire transaction, meaning that
Right.
you can go all the way to escrow and everyone's super happy, super happy, super happy. And then the owner says, yeah, I have a loan on it. And it totally lets me to transfer to you. And here's the payment. And it's a fixed payment, but it only goes up 3% a year. And the buyer says, wait, well, what are you talking about? I have a loan I now have to pay on these solar panels. I thought you said you own them and it was going to be transferred over and I get free solar. Oh, no, bro. It's a lease. And now you are, as a buyer, you're like, what? Nope, I'm out. And of all the things that went into, the agent or the broker has put in all this time, energy, effort, and money, and they get zero for this. So if the transaction falls apart, it's not like okay, here's $10,000 for all your hard work. It's okay, we start all over again to find a new buyer. And in a market where that's possible, that you might have multiple offers 3 or 4 years ago, now it's not as impacted. And so losing a buyer is kind of a big deal. And so it's crazy because people buy homes with pools or with a roof or air conditioning, but these solar leases are really starting to have an impact on these real estate professionals, and that's why they asked me to come in. And so basically, I just started it, with a little description of the company, and then I threw up the graphic was already there about Straight Talk Solarcast, because talking about solar and talking about leases, it's a huge subject. And so with this podcast, it's a really good way to get the information in small 10-minute or so pieces, instead of trying to absorb it all and then trying to regurgitate it back to a buyer who might be interested in a home with a leased solar panel system. And so a lot of times the buyers, if they are only qualified for a home, let's just say it's $1 million, and now this lease is on top of it, they have to look at it as like, this is what their home occupancy costs, their property taxes, insurance, and now a solar lease on top. And that may disqualify them for that $1 million loan, because now their debt to income ratio is too high.
Whoa.
And so they, it can have a significant effect. And so my advice to anyone out there that has solar and a lease, let me tell you about the other big issue, is that everything in real estate is an on your pants on fire emergency. Is that once it's every single step of the way, there must be 1,000 steps, but every single thing has to be done immediately. And if not, they're just calling. We need to get this done. Need to get this done. And one of the biggest things that holds up these transactions is the transfer. Let's just say the buyer says, okay, I'll take it on. And so transferring to the new buyer, the lease company now has to look at the credit of the new buyer, and they can say no. And then what do you do? Because if the new buyer, if they have bad credit or their loan is maxed out and they can't have any more credit, or it's going to, just too many payments, then the solar lease company is kind of saying, we're not sure you guys are going to be able to make the payment. And so they say, we're not good with that. And so,
oh my God.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
At the finish line too.
Exactly. And
oh my God.
That finish line there's so many nightmares with this. And so I'm going to say, for the transfer part. So once that transaction starts, a lot of times people don't realize they have a solar lease until they are selling their home. They just get a payment and they pay it. It's crazy. I've never been in that. I know. Or if they bought the house with the lease on it and now they're reselling the house with the lease on it, they don't really pay attention. And I hear it all the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time. And if this transfer document, it can take 30 days or 6 weeks for the solar company to send that over to the broker, agent, buyer, title company, escrow company, all the people that are involved, because this is like a lien. Well, it is a lien on the house, just like if you had a home equity line of credit, there's a lien on it, and that lien has to be released, and the lien has to be transferred over to the new buyer. So for those of you out there that are considering different financing and leases, I'll just lease it. It's no big deal. I'm going to be moving in a few years. I don't really want to pay for it or own it. That's great. Look at the look at the buyout amounts, because I was mentioning it's not the fair market value. It's actually the remaining lease payments. And a lot of times that can be in the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And if you're not making very much on your home these days, a lot of people are, after they sell their home, there's not a lot of room there for profit. And if now you have to come out of pocket $150,000 at escrow to be able to sell your home, it's really bad. And this happens a lot with seniors who got tricked into a solar lease, and they've been paying it. They pass away, and they're like, I don't care. 25 lease, I won't be around. Well, now you've just given a really nice present to your heirs. Now they have to deal with the solar lease and trying to sell, and a lot of times their inheritance goes out the window too. So I could keep going and going. This meeting was over an hour, but we just kind of talked about that, and solar leasing, not my favorite. And I just think it's way better to own solar than it is to lease it. But so many 3 out of 4 systems still are being leased these days. And it's now the real estate market is starting to where, they're saying, at least in our town here, Brentwood, 3 out of 4 homes that they're selling have solar on them. So that's why they really wanted me to come and talk about it. And so, yeah, it's pretty brutal. But, and so, yeah.
Wow.
I know. Crazy. Very crazy as usual. Lots of craziness, but it's happening more and more. So recommendations I have is if you do have a solar lease and you are considering selling your home, get this information ahead of time. Don't wait till escrow and now you've got to try and collect the transfer from the solar company. Really get that process. It can take them a long time, and they don't, as you always say, they don't give an F. Because they get paid either way, and so they're just they don't really. They might have one person for the whole company that handles leases or transfers. So it can get pretty crazy, but. Plan ahead, and don't just put off solar. And if you do know someone in the real estate business, don't just share this episode, share the whole podcast. They need to really get educated on this. And we should probably do some kind of certificate, Adam, that says once somebody's listened to every podcast, they get a solar or Straight Talk Solarcast certified badge or a license plate or something like that. And then anyway, we could talk about that more offline. It's just
Jamie
getting
approved.
started. Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Jesus.
We'll wrap up this one there.
All right. Thank you very much for taking another few minutes out of your week to learn a bit more about solar. Oh boy, there's always something happening in the land of solar, as Jamie is wont to say. So if you have a question for him for an upcoming episode, you can go to our Facebook page, Straight Talk Solarcast, send us a message through there. And if you want to check out a library of our past episodes, you can go to solarharmonics.com, click on the podcast link at the top of the page, and you'll be taken to a cornucopia of past episodes, stretching back years and years and years. If you have a friend considering going solar, this would be an excellent podcast to recommend to them because it will save them thousands upon thousands of dollars over the life of their system. And if you know a real estate agent or broker, come on. What better introduction to solar is there than this podcast? I don't know. So until next time, everyone, see you.
That's all for now. Thank you for listening to this episode of Straight Talk Solarcast with solar expert Jamie Duran. Join us each week for more answers to your solar questions. Speaking of questions, got some? Email us at solarcast@solarharmonics.com and we'll be sure to give you an answer in an upcoming episode. This episode of Straight Talk Solarcast is brought to you by Solar Harmonics, the leading solar energy developer in Northern California, who invite you to own your energy. Visit them on the web at www.solarharmonics.com.